Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to RNB episode 6.
Woohoo!
It's
Welcome back, guys.
favorite two podcasters, Robert and Britt, and we are back to get another episode started. So, this episode, we are going to get to the motherfucking point again, and this one was recommended by one of our friends, India. India suggested that we talk about the term hoe.
It's going to be a really fun conversation. But yeah, thanks to India for giving us this topic. You guys can check her out on Instagram. Her name is INDIAELIAS.
Yes, that is India Elias. That's my baby. So, before we get started with this topic, we want you guys to know that we are listening and that if you guys give us a topic, we will consider it. We always go back and forth, and we are always looking for new ideas because it's hard to try to think of everything by yourself. So, please send them in when you can. But hoes. So, when you talk about a hoe, are we talking about guys? Are we talking about girls? Where does that fall?
Okay, so obviously this is a little bit controversial just because a lot of women get called hoes in a negative way and a lot of men don't, when in my opinion it can go for either sex. So, and I don't think that a hoe is someone who sleeps with a lot of people. I think you can sleep with whoever you want to, and as long as that you're being considerate and safe and whatever, that's fine.
Okay, wait. But why do you think it gets used more for women than men? Like, why do you think that's a thing?
Because I think men want to spread their seed, and they think that it's cool for them to sleep around and do whatever they want. And I think that if a guy goes out and has sex with a bunch of girls, his guy friends are going to be like fist bumping him and whatever and being like, oh wow, you can pull so many girls, you're a cool guy. While on the other hand, if a woman goes out and sleeps with a lot of people, she gets called a hoe. So women aren't supposed to sleep with a lot of people. Guys can, they can do whatever they want, of course. And we're also really happy that India suggested this because it ties right into our last episode, which was toxic masculinity. And I think it's a part of toxic masculinity, the way that we see women and the way that we feel that women should behave with their bodies. And of course, as a man, toxic masculinity, you can do whatever you want, you just don't have emotion with it, and it's just, they look down on women. So I'm really happy for her to suggest that.
Alright, fellas, I'm going to sit here and I'll take this.
He's going to defend you guys.
It's a lot of heat that we get when we've been getting the last few episodes, but I think that you have to, see where somebody else is coming from in order to, grow. If you don't see where somebody else is coming from, you don't grow. And I can say that the first thing that I know that guys want is the whole woman in the streets but freak in the sheets. And it's funny because it's like, if you want that and that's something that you want, then obviously she has to go out there and get that experience. But at the same time, you don't want a girl who's been run through, which is like, you can't have it both ways. You can't want somebody to explore their sexuality with you and be open and be freaky and do all that shit you like. But at the same time, when they tell you that they have done that with other people, you get upset. That's a double standard that's stupid. Yeah,
for sure. And so, how do you feel about women getting called hoes and then men doing the exact same thing and not getting called hoes?
So, I feel like it should be equal in terms of it should be both areas you should be called a hoe. Because, personally, I don't want to be with somebody who's been with a lot of people. I get it. Go out there, experience your life, you can have as many sexual partners as you want. And it sucks that, you probably will be judged for it. But I'm one of those people that are I'm a very don't ask, don't tell type of person.
Oh my
so
God.
I'm not asking you about how many partners you had anyway because I feel like that's not my business.
For sure.
And
I hate when people bring that up. It's so awkward.
And then once you ask that, it opens doors to be like, damn, she is...
I know. It automatically opens the door for judgment, which I don't think is fair. And just like how you're saying that the term hoe should get used for men and women, I do agree with that, but not for the same reason. I think that people can have sex with as many people as they want, but I feel like it's the way that people behave around sex that makes them a hoe or not a hoe. Like, for example, if there was a girl or guy who was like a homie hopper, then I'd be like, okay, that's a hoe. Do you know what I mean? Like, this one example, there's this person that I know that she sleeps with people, whatever, and then when we were at a friend's house, she was sleeping with a guy, and we're in the living room. She comes out after, and the guy is sleeping, and she tries to flirt with other people literally right after having sex. And I'm just like, okay, well, that just seems kind of grimy. Do you know what I mean? I just feel like if you're with someone and you're having an experience with someone, leave it at that. don't bounce around, especially when they're literally in the room right next to us. Like, that's trashy, you know? But I would not go out and be like, oh, a girl's had sex with X many people, she must be a hoe. Because here's the thing, if you are single for a large amount of your life, you're going to sleep with different people, you know? And so when you're 50 and if you're still single, you've slept with quite a few people. Does that make someone a hoe? Do you know what I mean? That's why I feel like the term hoe needs to go away from the amount of people that you slept with to the way you behave around sex and about sex, you know? It shouldn't be about a number, because some people's number might be higher for different reasons, and that's not our decision to choose and to judge people on. Just like if someone wants to get a tattoo, or someone wants to pierce their body, or they want to shave their head, it's not our business to judge them, because they can do whatever they want. As long as they're being safe and not trying to homie hop, I'm fine with it.
So if you are approached by a guy and you know that this guy has slept with a whole bunch of people, how does that make you feel in terms of like wanting to be intimate with this person?
Yeah, no, that for sure makes me not as keen on sleeping with him, especially because, I mean, we live in Orlando and there's a lot of STDs around Orlando, like HIV and stuff like that, and I'm like not trying to get into that. And when you have slept with a lot of people, like, you obviously expose yourself to a lot of disease, and then I hate the situation where you're with someone and like at a bar or restaurant, whatever, and then they kind of like make eye contact with someone that you don't know, and you're kind of like, oh, I'm sure you fucked them. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be in that situation, and that kind of happened with my ex a lot, because he was a fucking whore, and every time we would go somewhere, if I saw him look kind of funny at a girl and she kind of looked funny at him, I'm like, are you fucking joking right now? And I don't want to think about that. Do you know what I mean? And I feel... Of course, I feel like everyone can sleep with whoever they want, but I do agree with you. I don't want to be with someone who has slept with like a shit ton of people, because the way that I think about it is the person that you're with, right? Let's call him
We're just about to get deep. I can feel it.
I got a little analogy. All right, let's say you have a really nice cupcake, right? It's funfetti.
Ooh, yes, funfetti.
It's a nice little moist funfetti cupcake with the funfetti ice cream. I mean, not ice cream, icing. And, you know, it's your prized possession and you're so happy to have it. And then everyone gets a little bite out of that cupcake. And then eventually everyone's tasted your cupcake and then you only have a little bite. You know, that's kind of how I feel about it. Not that the person's any less of a person, but I would like to keep that experience more exclusive with my person. I don't want to be with a person and then have like 75 other people be like, oh, well, I know what he fucks like. You know what I mean? Like, that's my man.
No, I totally get where you're coming from. I guess my thoughts on it is that like I said, I think that society now, sex is just such an open thing. Like, it's advertised on billboards.
It's like not taboo anymore.
Yeah, sex is what sells. So it's advertised on billboards. It's on commercials. Like, when you're watching music videos, it's advertised. And I think that like, but back in the day, it used to be not like a taboo thing, but it was something.
It was like hush hush. Like, you only
yeah.
have sex with your partner behind closed doors, and you don't talk about it. Like, you don't kiss and tell.
Yeah, it was something that like wasn't as talked about as much as it is now. And now that it's so open, I think that people are like, well, now I can just do whatever I want. I can just screw whoever I want. And I think that there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. I think that at a certain point in life, you will get a grasp on like your sexuality, and you probably might have a hoe phase. And just because it's called a hoe phase, that doesn't mean that like you're out there being a hoe, but I mean you're just out there trying to find out what you like. Because at the end of the day, you have to have these experiences to find out, oh, I like when people do this. I like when she, you know, like,
yeah, I totally
you have to understand like what it is that you like, so that you can communicate that. Because if not, people aren't going to be able to just read your mind.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's why I'm saying, like, I feel like the term hoe has to get taken away from the amount of people that you've slept with to how you're behaving around sex. Because if you're acting like that girl and having sex with someone and then 5 seconds later trying to have sex with someone else, I feel like that's pretty grimy. Do you know what I mean? But like, as I said, 50-year-old people probably have had sex with a lot of fucking people and they're not hoes. So someone who's 25, 30, whatever, shouldn't be called a hoe either, because it's your body. You can do whatever you want with it, and it's not anyone's right to judge your decisions for your body, especially when they're not involved in it. Like, people love coming out here and calling everyone, oh, you're a hoe, you're a hoe. Are you having sex with them? No. Okay, then shut up. That's just my opinion.
So now that we like talked about the whole hoe word, and we know that that goes for women, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the whole word fuckboy. And I think that, like, fuckboy is the male version of hoe. Because
I think so too.
Yeah, that it's associated that you know, have a whole bunch of women that you're doing whatever the fuck you want. You know, you're a fuckboy. And the issue with the term, I think, is because it's pretty much the same thing. We're still talking about the issue with the hoe, but now it's for males. The issue with the term is that I think that it's applied to people sometimes just on their, like, overall look. You can't just look at somebody and be like, I get it, trust me. You can look at somebody and be like, oh, I think that guy's a douche, or oh, I think she's a fucking slut because she wears.
But it's the same thing as calling them a fuckboy.
Yeah, but like when you say fuckboy, it applies that like that maybe this person has been with a lot of people, or he's a player, blah blah blah. It's all that stuff into one.
But then how are you gonna look at someone and say that he looks like a douche? Isn't it the same thing? Or she looks like a slut? It's the same thing.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that all those words can't be like it's the whole judging a book by its cover before you even know what's in the pages. So you're saying
you shouldn't call someone any of those?
Yeah, okay, I'm saying that all those words, I think any word that can do a stereotype, be seen as a stereotype, should not be used. Because you don't want somebody to look at you and then apply a word to you, and then before they even talk to you, they already have this preconceived notion that they know who you are. Mm-hmm. So if I just think a girl is a slut, and I'm gonna go up to her and talk to her, I might do it with less respect. I'm like, yo, you know, you trying to fuck her away.
Oh, like you just like skip all the bullshit and get straight to it. Yeah, I feel like those terms are used a lot, and especially fuckboy.
So much in 2019
shit. Yeah, it's because like, you know, the whole like fuckboy look, like they always have like some tight ass ripped jeans.
It's so funny because I wore a tank top and some ripped jeans.
Yeah.
So episode, Brittany's like, why are you out here looking like a fuckboy?
Yeah. And they're always like super clean cut, whatever, like posting on Instagram, like the fuckboy poses, you know, like they'll like bend down and shit. I'm like, But of course, you know, we can't judge. But I think it is funny that we brought that up because before we begin the episode, I put on my Instagram a little question box thing that people could send in what they think a hoe is. So what I said was, what is your definition of a hoe, and can guys be a hoe? And I have some responses. Back to what you said, my friend Adriana said guys that are hoes are now termed fuckboys, which is true. That's what we just said. So we agree. And then my other friend Julie says a person who gets with everyone and doesn't care about others' feelings, and yes, men can be hoes. And that's what I was saying, is that like it's the way you behave around sex. So I feel like it is an intimate situation and you have to be considerate of people's feelings. Not that you're in a relationship or anything like that, but you have to be considerate because it is an emotional situation. And then I feel like a lot of people, guys in particular, will lie about their intentions to get in a girl's pants, and that to me is a fuckboy. That to me is a hoe. Because a lot of guys are gonna lie to a girl and be like, oh yeah, I'm super into you, I wanna date, blah blah blah, just to get in their pants, and then right after they have sex, they ghost them, or act like, oh I didn't say that, or oh I changed my mind, and it's like bullshit, you know what I mean? So like, if you're messing with someone's head to get in their pants, you are a fuckboy, you are a hoe, bye. Don't talk to me.
But at the same time, I think that sometimes people will go into a situation knowing what it is. So say you're going into a situation and you met this girl on Tinder, she's hot, she thinks you're hot, and you guys came to the like conceived notion of that this is nothing. Like, we're in this for the sex, we're in this just to have fun. But that's different. Yeah, I know, but at the same time, I think that like that happens and guys will be in that situation, and then once a girl catches feelings and she's scorned and she goes and puts it on social media, oh this guy did this, oh this guy did that, he no longer has legs to stand on because all of a sudden it's just so used to, oh well guys are shit, guys do this, guys do that. But if they had this preconceived thing on this is what it is, they both agreed to it, and then as it happened, people, you know, she caught feelings or whatever. Like just because you catch feelings doesn't mean that the person that you're with is also entitled to do that.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I feel like if you two come together and you are both like, I don't want to be in a relationship, I just want to, you know, whatever, friends with benefits, then you cannot get mad when he's not emotional towards you. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you can expect him to catch feelings just because you did, but what my situation was like, if a guy's being like, okay, yeah, I like you, I want to talk, like, you are everything that I want in a girl, I want to be with you, blah, 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 and then they have sex, and then he's like, I don't know. He ghost you or something like that. You know, that's when I have an issue. Don't lie about your intentions.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, ghosting and shit like that, not cool. I mean, just be straight up. Most of the time, if you're straight up, like, you might not get what you want, yeah, but that, at least you gave that person the opportunity to make a choice. Whenever you are getting ready to get into something that's, like, sexual or something like that, there needs to be, like, consent on both areas, for sure. Always
yeah,
consent.
A little talk or something.
Yeah, and then there needs to be, like, a choice. Like, you guys both have agreed that this is what this is, and you guys are on the same page on, okay, well, you know, I really do like you, or maybe I don't like you, maybe we're just in it for, like, you know, it just, as long as the guidelines are set and there's a baseline.
But then it's like, okay, of course, that's, like, super easy and great to say, but, like, think about how much that really happens, because I feel like a lot of the times when people develop sexual relationships together, it's, like, kind of like a spur of the moment type of thing, so they're not gonna have, like, a full-on discussion about what it's gonna be beforehand, because, I mean, think about it in real life, and, like, that's just usually not going to happen unless they've already been friends for a long time and they're like, okay, well, I kind of interested in you in that way and I don't want to ruin our friendship. Then that happens. But usually it's just like a, what's good?
Yeah, I know, you're right. But at the same time, like, I think that the part where people fuck up is that people go into this wanting more, but then they don't say that. And they're just happy with having the one little piece that they have. So then they go in it like, yeah, I'm fine, I can do this. Like, you know, yeah, like, you might think that the girl's hot. So you're like, damn, sure. Like, you know, the fact that she's even giving me the opportunity, you're like, hell yeah, I'm gonna sign me up. But then, like, as you're going through it and you're going through the motions, like, let's get one thing straight. Sex is made for, like, procreation, but at the same time, it's sharing yourself with someone else. So that is a very intimate thing. That's something that you don't do with a whole bunch of people. And even if you're like, oh, I'm going into it with no emotions, it is weird for me to, like, hear people say that, because I'm like, no matter what, there's going to be something there.
Yeah, I mean, personally for me, I cannot do that without any emotion, because then it's not good to me, so then there's no reason to do it. Do you know what I mean? But, of course, we know people that do that. And
which,
like,
I don't get, because I'm like, I get, for me to be turned on, I have to have some kind of connection.
Yes, like mental, something mental for sure, but not everyone.
Titties, I mean, shit.
Oh my god. But I mean, you know, not everyone. Alright, so I do have a few more responses that I think we should get through. I have my friend Sam. She said to me, the ultimate hoe act could be trying to sleep, flirt, or be disrespectful with a married man, knowing that they're married or not, and not caring, or vice versa. So if you're trying to mess with a married person, regardless of if you're a boy or girl, you're a hoe to Sam. Which I agree, of course, because I feel like if two people have gotten into a marriage, that is an agreement and that's a bond that no one should mess with, of course. But I also feel like if someone is flirting with your husband, he can shut it down. Do you know what I mean? So you need to make sure that it's not a one-sided situation. And yeah.
I don't know. For me, like, the word hoe doesn't apply in this situation, because I think it's something like more. Like, I think hoe, like, not to sound like I'm blowing it off or anything like that, but it can be like as like a friendly term or like a funny term and shit like that. I feel like once you get into something like this, it has to do with like your morals. So instead of being a hoe, I think at that point you're a shitty person, just because you know that that person's married, and yes, he might be giving you attention or whatever, but at the same time, if you're going into this knowing that you are like fucking up somebody else's like happiness or like somebody else's like home life, I think that like morally you are a shitty person, and that's way worse than being a hoe. Let me tell you that.
For sure. Yeah, don't try to mess in anyone's marriage, for sure, because I mean, like, chances are, like, they're not gonna leave their wife or husband for you. So if that's your goal, sit down, because they're not gonna get a divorce. It's literally so expensive, trust me.
Yeah, being the side chick is not cool.
That's not a good look.
I'm pretty sure it's not fulfilling too. Like, you just getting side dick, like not even the whole thing, you know?
Yeah. Like, he can't even spend the night.
Yeah, he's like texting you from like, your name is Samantha, but
there's a burner phone.
Yeah, your name is Samantha, but he saved you as Michael on his telephone because he doesn't want his wife to know.
Yeah, he doesn't claim you at all. I'm like, is that satisfying, girl? You happy? So yeah, that's from Sam. And then Danielle said, guys can definitely be hoes. 90% of my guy friends are hoes. A hoe is someone who can't be loyal, at least to me, in a relationship and still trying That's all she said. But so yeah, she says 90% of her guy friends are hoes, which, I mean, just shows that girls and guys can be hoes for sure. And then she said someone who can't be loyal in a relationship. Yeah, so I mean, like, if you're in a relationship with someone and they're fucking around, yeah, I'd call them a hoe.
I just wonder how she, like, feels like she knows without a doubt that 90% of her friends are hoes.
I mean, obviously it's just a rough estimate. She's not, like, counting.
Yeah, no, I get it, but at the same time, like, how do you know that? You know, because if you don't
guys
know,
brag about that shit.
But I mean,
yes, they do. Guys brag.
So this is the real inside scoop. Guys bragging about shit like that, but a lot of the times they lie on their dick or they're lying about what they're saying because it makes them sound cool or makes them sound experienced. So
That's true.
I'm like, at the same time, like, yeah, he might be saying he's bagging all these bitches, doing this, doing that.
But he's like begging her to hang out.
And I'm like, yeah, what type of environment is it in? Because once again, like, guys get kind of pressured to be like, oh, you know, I'm macking, I got hoes, I got this, I got that.
Yeah.
And if you aren't doing that, then it's like, oh, you're not cool.
Like you're a loser.
Yeah, you're a loser. You don't fucking, nobody likes you.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I think that a lot of guys will lie just to, it's funny because that movie that just came out, with the two Asian couple.
Always Be My Maybe.
Always Be My Maybe.
Oh, that was such a good movie.
In the movie, he's like talking to her and like they like hook up or whatever, and she's like, yeah, you know, what were you gonna do? You didn't even sleep with anybody, blah blah blah. And he was like, I was planning on lying about that in college, and it's fucking hilarious because I think a lot of guys do that. Like a lot of guys do go into college or go into like places where they feel the pressure to like be that macho guy, and they're like, hell yeah, I fucking Sarah, Sam, this person, that person, and they haven't even like had their first kiss. And I'm like, I get it because it's just the pressure to like do that. So like her friend might be thinking like, damn, he fucked Sarah, Sam, this, that, this, and like you just go by that and you don't do any further digging.
Yeah, I can totally see that happening. I think that from a girl's standpoint, I feel like some girls might look down on a guy too if he hasn't done a lot of stuff because she's kind of like, but what's the catch? Do you know what I mean? Because she's used to so many guys being like, oh yeah, I've had sex with so many people, been with so many people, done this, done that, blah, 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 that when she finds a guy that hasn't done that, she's like, what's the catch? You know?
Yeah, I get it. I mean, that's funny because J. Cole, one of my favorite artists, he has a song about this where they're in high school and like they're like growing up and they're both like they're both talking about like their first time and like getting ready to do it, but both of them don't know that it's each other's first time.
Yeah.
So she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm about to put it on you. Like you haven't had nothing like this before. I'm about to blow your mind." And he's like, "Baby, you don't even know. I've been with so many girls. Like I'm about to lay it down." At the point that they were getting ready to like finally, you know, make it happen, she like before he like goes all the way, she's like, "Oh wait, you know, just so you know, I've never done this before."
I can tell you're a pro, but baby, be gentle.
So this whole entire time he hasn't done it, and he thinks that she has, and finally she's come out and been like, "Oh, same. I also haven't done it." So I mean, the dream is called "Wet Dreams" by not the dream. The song is called "Wet Dreams" by J. Cole. So I think that was just like a great example of like how you're like pressured into like thinking that like, oh, you know, I need to be this sex monster, blah 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 blah. Meanwhile, most people
half of us haven't done anything.
Yeah. So while we were here talking about hoes, most people haven't done shit.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, I guess guys do get the pressure to like, I like pretend that you have sex with a lot of people, or maybe not even pretend, but feel like you need to go out and do that. So then they seek a lot of people, you know? And then at the same time, women feel like they can't sleep with a lot of people, so they might lie about how many people they slept with, or just hold back on what they feel like doing, which sucks. So that's not a good thing. I also had some more of those little questions, or little comments on my question. Let's see. Someone said that guys equal dogs. That just sounds better. So guys are dogs, and he's a guy. So like, that just shows when you're a guy, you're usually friends with a lot of guys, and for him to say a comment about a group of people that he's a part of just shows that there's a lot of shitty guys who fuck around.
I don't know, it's weird because the group of people that I'm with, like all my friends who are guys, they're in serious relationships and shit. So I guess I'm just not around that a lot. But I mean, I get it. It's just at the same time, I think girls are just as shitty. They're just a lot better at covering it up. So I think girls are just a lot smarter when it comes to like doing their dirt, but then like covering their tracks, so that even if you do think that they might have done something, you don't have the proof, and because you don't have the proof, you have to just let it go.
But I mean, the proof could be like a guy saying like, "Hey, yeah, I did sleep with her. She's lying."
Yeah, and then like a girl is very good at like using their emotion, or not even emotion. They could just use sex and be like, "No, baby, I would never do that to you." Blah 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 blah. And they're like trying to like explain themselves, and if they see that that's not working, the next step is, "Oh, I'm just gonna like have sex and we'll just."
So you're saying in a relationship?
Sure. Like.
Well, because then what else situation would it be if she's gonna be like telling a guy or trying to convince a guy?
Yeah, you know? You don't have, at that point you don't have to convince anybody of anything. Yeah.
We definitely got our point across with what we feel like is considered a hoe. Yes, guys can be hoes too, and we need to change the thinking of what people consider a hoe, because I don't agree that if you sleep with a lot of people, you are a hoe.
I think that we just need to get rid of the word altogether. It's trash. I mean, just having words to like define who a person is before you even meet them, I think is shitty.
Super judgmental.
Yeah, just go into it with an open mind, and who knows? I mean, if the person's shitty, don't get me wrong, you can still call them a hoe and still say that this is a shitty person. But just give the person the ability to like show themselves before you decide this. You know, like you shouldn't be looking at people on Instagram and being like, "That's a hoe. This is that. This is that." Because if you never met that person, you never spoken to that person, you don't know that person's story. So for you to have that preconceived notion of them, it's just judgment in your head.
Mm-hmm. Well, that wraps up episode 6, guys. Thanks for tuning in. You can, of course, find us on all social media. We have our Instagram and Twitter handle as _RNB. Send us a DM, get to know us. Let's start a conversation. Give us another topic. You can also send us an email if that's your preferred avenue. Our email is theofficialrnbpodcast@gmail.com. And you can also, for all you audio listeners, can find us on YouTube at RNB Podcast. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 6. Can't wait to see you next week.
Yes, for sure, for sure. And all you people on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, like, do all that good stuff. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week for next week's episode.
Bye.
Bye.